Hello, accounting students. This is Accounting Chapter 5-1, and we are going to talk today about endorsing checks and how we write checks and then, of course, carry our balance forward so that we are aware specifically of how much cash that we have in our bank account at all times. So then we are able to prove cash and do some reconciliation to ensure that our records are the same as the bank records. So you need to be open in your workbook to page 95 and go ahead and open your textbook to page 124. Go ahead and take a minute and pause the video until everyone or you specifically are to workbook page 95 and textbook page 124. Though writing checks aren't as common as it used to be, especially now since we have direct deposit, for example, companies now are able to have money and funds directly taken from their account and put into your account for pay periods. Even though they have that, they do have a pay stub information that is then shared with you. But there are still times where companies need to actually write a check, and even times that you will personally need to write a check. Again, with online, it is becoming less and less. Even you can probably at most of your churches now, you can even pay your tithe online. I will tell you that when you do pay your tithe online, if you're not aware of this, there is a fee that is charged every time you use that. Again, the church is providing this opportunity. It does increase giving by doing this. But know when you do that, there is a percentage of the tithe that you are giving that's actually going to cover a fee. And for this reason, my husband and I have actually chosen to continue to write checks, as that is then all of our money is going to the church versus a portion of it to cover fees. So just something for you to keep in mind. But if you, by chance, you do receive a check, you do have to endorse that check, or if you write a check to someone else, they will need to endorse that check. If you take a look on page 124 and 125 in your book tells you of 3 different ways in which you can endorse a check. The first is what we call a blank endorsement. Basically, all you're doing is you are signing your name. The check is made out to you. You sign the back of the check. You're going to take that check to the bank, and you can either get cash, take it out, they can cash it, get cash for it, or you can put it into your bank account, your checking, or your savings account. Now, with a blank endorsement, let's say you sign the back of that check and you didn't get to the bank for a few days and you lose the check. The potential problem is that someone could find that check and then they could deposit or cash that check themselves. So it is a little riskier by doing just a blank endorsement, but that is still very possible. Typically, you would not want to sign the back of your check until you were ready to actually take the check to the bank and to be cashed to prevent that possibly from happening. Now, there's another type of endorsement which we call a special endorsement. This type of endorsement is when there's a check that's been written to you, but perhaps the check really needs to go to someone else. And so on the back of it, you would write "paid to the order of." So that's very similar to the front of the check. The front of the check would already say "paid to the order of" and your name, but now you're going to sign it over to someone else. So you put to the "paid to the order of" the person you would like to sign it over to, and then you sign your name. And our last endorsement that we're going to talk about is a restrictive endorsement, and you can see that on page 125. With the restrictive endorsement, basically you are saying exactly what should happen with the check versus the blank endorsement, in which with the blank endorsement, again, you can take it, you can cash it and get the money. You could choose to deposit it. You could do both. You could deposit some of the money and you could take some of the cash out. Now, for deposit only means it is only going to be deposited into a specific account. And so you see on page 2025, it says for deposit only, it says the account, and then the signature of the accountant. Most companies actually have a stamp that they use for this, again, to ensure that money and funds that they have coming in go directly to what they have asked for it to go to. So let's go ahead and practice this. Turn in your book to page 128. We're going to complete the work together, and we're going to do number 1 first, and we're going to handle these endorsements. So it says, for each of these situations, prepare the appropriate endorsement. So if you're looking on page 95, you see number 1, you see A, B, and C. And then in your book on page 128, we see 1, A, B, and C. So it says, write for each of these situations, prepare the appropriate endorsement. So you are authorized to sign checks for Grantsburg Accounting. All right, so you're going to write a blank endorsement. And so in this situation, what would you do? So taking a look at the example here in the video, blank endorsement. That's correct. You're going to just sign your name. Okay, so go ahead and do that. All right, for B it says, write a special endorsement to transfer a check to Clara Kwan. All right, so again, when you take a look at the example here on the video, it shows you pay to the order of Helen Goldsmith and your name or Michael's name. So now you're going to do pay to the order of Clara Kwan, and then your signature. All right, and now let's take a look at C. It says write a restrictive endorsement to deposit a check in the account of Grantsburg Accounting. So again, if you look at the example on the video for restrictive endorsement, it says for deposit only, the account of Delgado Web Services and the person's name. So in this situation, you're going to write for deposit only to the account of Grantsburg Accounting and your signature. So if you take a look at my answer, I did not fully write that, did I? So again, on yours, it should say for deposit only, the account of, and Grantsburg Accounting. So make sure that you do that. Okay, now let's take a look in your textbook on page 126, and we're going to now talk through 2, 3, 4A, and 4B. So as I mentioned, sometimes a company does have to write a check. I don't know if your parents still write checks when they go to the store. Once in a while in the grocery line, I get behind an older individual that is still writing checks, and they pull out their checkbook and they write the check, and then they have what is called a check register. And as soon as they write that check, then they record what they wrote the check for and for how much. If you take a look on page 126, a company's checks tend to look just a little bit different. So you'll see on the left-hand side what we call a check stub, and then you'll notice that little dotted line, and then you will see the check on the right. Okay? And so basically, every time you write a check and you tear that check off, you're going to complete the check stub to the left as a record of who you wrote the check to, for how much, and then to figure out the current balance in your checking account. It is not good practice to use the ATM to give you the balance in your checkbook because things may not have cleared, or people may not have cashed a check that has been written. So again, you want to make sure that you are tracking for yourself so that you don't overextend what you actually have. All right, so if you take a look, you can see how they write the check. It's got the date, paid to the order of the person's name. It has the dollar amount, and then of course we write that amount out, and then you will notice that there's a line from the cents to the dollars. That's so no one can add. Then you see what's in the for, and then you see where the person's name is placed. So let's walk through this example and let's practice this for ourselves. So if you turn to page 128, so let's go back there. It says, record the balance brought forward on check stub number 155. Okay, so we're starting right up there. It says as part of 2, number 151. That is our check number and the check stub that we are working with. Now we have a current balance. Balance being brought forward means the balance we currently have, $2,145.88. So why don't you take a look there on the left-hand side on your check stub. Where do you see balance brought forward? All right, hopefully, oops, hold on just a moment. Okay, hopefully you saw it right there, about 1/3 of the way down, and you will write 2145.88. Okay, so that is number 2. All right, now it says number 3. Record a deposit of $316 made on June 30th of the current year on check stub number 151. All right, do you see anywhere on that check stub where you might record an amount deposited? All right, hopefully that stood out pretty quickly for you. So you're going to write the date and the dollar amount. Then you will notice right under that that says subtotal. So if we had $2,145.88, we deposited $316, then we would have a new balance. And as I am looking at this balance, I don't believe I added correctly. So let me redo the math on this, and you should do the little math too. Now that's going to mess up what I have below. So 2,145.88 plus 316 is, oh, I transposed my numbers. So we've learned about that in our last chapter. It's $2,461.88. Okay. So record the right number, $2,461.88. All right, now it says number 4. Prepare check stubs and write the following checks. Use June 30th of the current year as the date. All right, so it says check number 151. You will notice up in the right-hand corner it says number 151, right? So right there. Okay, so this is where we're going to record the check. So you're going to start by recording the date, and the date is June 30. Oops. Okay, and June 30 of the current year. Then it says on the next line, pay to the order of, and it says we're going to pay to the order of A1 Computers, and the dollar amount is $148. Then the next line is the line where we actually write out $148.00 over 100 and then draw a line. And then the last part is writing what it is for and your signature. Now, once you've completed the check, you need to go back to your check stub and record the information from that check. So we're going to go back over to the left, and now you will see where it says number 151. You're going to record 148 because that was the amount of the check. You need to record the date, who it was made out to, and then what it was for. So take a moment to do that. All right, now we're going to finish the last part of the check stub before we go on to writing check number 152. So we need to figure out now what our current balance is. All right, so we're going to go now back down to that bottom. You will notice that currently, again, we have a balance. It should be $2,461.88. If we come down here, we have another subtotal. In this situation, we did not have a deposit. Oh yes, we did have deposit. Sorry, we had that $316 deposit, but we didn't have any other fees. So our subtotal now again should be $2,461.88. And now we're going to record the amount of this check, which was $148. And if we had $2,416.88 in cash, we wrote a check for $148, we need to subtract those amounts. And so funny that I was able to get still the correct balance since I just recorded the numbers wrong. So $2,313.88. All right, let's go ahead and now go to check number 152. All right, now you will notice again that we had a balance of $2,313.88. What do we need to do with that balance before we get started? Yes, we need to bring that balance forward. Okay. Whoops. It'll let me move the box. I will show you, but it might not. Maybe we're going to delete the box. Okay. So you will notice that there is a balance forward there of $2,313.88. All right. Now we don't have a deposit this time. There's not anything there, so we're just going to bring that subtotal down. And again, we have no other fees, so we'll bring that subtotal down. All right, so now they've asked you to write a check to Southwest Supply for $62. So with your table mates now, go ahead and write out the check number 152. Complete the right-hand side of that check. All right, hopefully you've had enough time to write out that check. If not, go ahead and just pause the video, and then you can check your answer after. But hopefully your check looks something like this. Oops. Okay. All right. Now, of course, we're not done, because we need to now go over and record the check amount in the check stub. All right, so again, over to the left-hand side, again, you're going to record the $62, the date, who it was to, and what it was for. So go ahead and do that. And now your last step is to take the amount of this check down on that lower part of your check stub. See that there, where we write $62, and then again you had $2,313.88. You've subtracted $62, and now you have $2,251.88. Okay. All right, so that's it for 5-1. What I would now like you to do is 5-1 on your own. When you complete that, please ask the teacher to check that for you and to confirm that it's correct. Once you have completed 5-1 on your own, please complete notes 5-3 and 5-4, and we will cover 5-3 and 5-4 next week.